What's going on, Luminators? You juggernauts, you're powerful and unstoppable. Boston C here, above the sun.io, above the sun.io. Go check us out. Read a little bit about P48, whatsoever things. That's what you need to be focused on, right? True, honest, and just, and pure, lovely, good rapport, virtue, which is dynamo, dynamite, good praiseworthy, good stories, good stuff. Yeah, today is Saturday, May the 6th. Don't usually do a Washington C musing markets or more. But was reading an article that I'm going to read. Probably going to take 15, 20 minutes, so you can get yourself a cup of coffee, pause. I'm going to screen share so you can kind of read ahead of me if you want, whatever you want to do. But it's cool, just in terms of if you pay attention what's going on in the macro, what the nations are up to. And of course, Boston C puts everything in a big corruption bucket. I don't go down rabbit holes. I kind of skim the top. And when I see corruption, I just make fun of it. So how about that? Let's go ahead and do a screen share. Everybody doing okay? You doing good? Everybody good? Family good? You're dealing with all your quantum entanglements and your assignments. That's where you learn to deal with your triggers, right? Hopefully you're not triggering as much as you used to, because when you know better, you do better. That's just how the math works. All right, Boston C. Can I move me over here? Probably guys are not going to see a change anyways, but it's a little easier for me, so I don't see myself up in the corner there. All right, let's dig in. So Hungary, Prime Minister Orban, Victor, probably a thorn in the side of Western nations. But anyhow, as a matter of fact, you know what? Let's do something, because I tweeted this after I read it. I'm going to pull up the dictionary. I'm going to read it to you. Let's see what the word courage means. And y'all got courage, right? We all got courage, right? Mental or moral strength to venture, persevere, and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty. Okay, we good? All right, let's stop that. You thinking about that? Ooh, I just stopped the screen share, you knucklehead. I'm not a knucklehead. Yeah, you are. No, I'm not. Yeah, sometimes. All right, so I got to look for the article. Again, I'm not stopping. Not stopping. Just give me a second. Be patient. Here we go. All right, I got the article. Screen share again. You guys are real good. Love you guys. Right? Love is the highest frequency, isn't it? Right. Yeah, we're all energy beings supposed to be operating in the frequency of love. Nobody told us that when we were kids. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good, though. All right, here we go. Hungary's PM Orban, progressive liberals have launched the nation-destroying virus against Western nations. This is authored by John Cody, Remix News, that zerohedge has curated. So I like zerohedge. The convenience in there pretty straightforward until I determine they're not. So a little humor, not really though. The West is facing a nation-destroying virus unleashed by progressive idealists that will destroy civilization unless conservatives fight to contain it. What is that whole thing? Conservatives. Conversation for another day. We got to keep changing language, folks. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has warned Speaking at CPAC, Hungary in Budapest on Thursday, Hungarian Prime Minister, seen as perhaps the preeminent leader of the Western conservative movement, issued his warning to hundreds of politicians, national leaders, and conservative activists who gathered in Budapest from around the world. And I quote, "A virus attack has been launched against us. This virus was developed in the progressive liberal laboratories," said Orban. "This virus is attacking the most vulnerable point in the Western world, and that is the nation. It is a nation-destroying virus that will atomize and pulverize our nations." I love those words, and makes me think about atomizing and pulverizing corruption. And it is happening. The Hungarian leader said his country is seen as an incubator of conservative thought and one of the primary strongholds left working against globalism. He noted that conservatives arrived in Budapest from countries ranging from the United States, Mexico, Brazil, Israel, and Japan. And I quote, "Not bad company, but how did Hungarians get into such a distinguished club?" Question mark. I love it. "We're not huge. We're not formidable. We're not rich. We don't have a big army. We don't have a huge GDP, gross domestic product, and we're not particularly populous. Who cares about us? Yet, here we all are today. I think there's only one reason why we are in this elite club. There is one thing that makes our country an important place. It is the fact that Hungary is actually an incubator where the conservative politics of the future are being experimented with." Okay, I like experiments. Hungary is the place where we have not only talked about defeating progressive liberals and making a conservative Christian political turn, we have done it. And that's a different conversation, but rise above, get the gist, go back to what courage is, to say what's on your mind, right? Without everybody losing their stuff. The Hungarian prime minister said that the attack facing Europe is not economic, but actually goes deeper into the very values and culture that had defined Europe for generations. And I quote, "I report to you that we are all under attack in Europe as well as in America." So I wonder what you know that Victor doesn't know, right? Being a bit of a wise guy, but you're getting some good information here, what's going on the planet, if you're interested. So although we live above the sun, we function below the sun, right? No fear anywhere, and especially not here above the sun. "I report to you that we're all under attack in Europe as well as in America. I must also report to you that the attack is not economic. We are dealing with a biological weapon," said Orban. "The nation is the great invention of the West. It is the heart of the free world, but it is also the Achilles heel of the Western world. If the nations evaporate, disintegrate, rust away, the possibility of free life will be lost, and the West will fall. People without a homeland can never be free. They can only be landless pawns of the global elite." Although it may seem self-evident for many conservatives today, Hungary was not always a bastion of conservatism. Orban in Hungary truly rose into the international headlines once his country took a strong stance against immigration in 2015-16. However, in a surprise move at the CPAC conference, Orban said he had to thank billionaire oligarch George Soros for this political gift, which helped put Hungary on the political map and define Hungary as a country dedicated to protecting Europe's borders and cultural heritage. And he's Obviously not a fan of Soros. But there is nothing to be done. Man plans, God does. I like that. Man plans, God does. Man in God, God in man. Man does, God does. I like that. In fact, the Hungarian experiment owes its worldwide fame to George Soros. In vain, God works in mysterious ways. If George Soros had not attacked Hungary, if he had not announced his program to resettle millions of illegal immigrants in Europe with the help of his mercenary NGOs, we would never have made the headlines. But Uncle George did announce his resettlement program, deployed his NGO army, and set about implementing his grand plan. They flooded the Balkans with illegal migrants and set up a people smuggling route into the heart of Europe. And then they bumped into Hungary. We called a halt. We took up the gauntlet. We defended ourselves. We built a fence, and we defended our country. Just going to take a drink of a little coffee. Pause, take a one function break. No, I'm just kidding. It's all good. Hang in there. Come on. Orban said that it was amidst the battle over migration with Soros, NGOs, and Brussels that he realized how the battle must be fought. And I quote, after a while, I realized that it is not enough to defend our borders. It is not enough to fight physically in self-defense. We can only defend our country if we are also engaged in intellectual and ideological battles. We found ourselves in the middle of an intellectual, ideological battlefield. Migration is important, an important part of the liberal progressive philosophy. We had no choice but to call to account the ideology of the open society, and with it, the entire empire of George Soros. Orban stated that Hungary was not a country that attacked, but instead focused on defense. We Hungarians do not attack. We do not want to tell other countries what to think about migration, gender theory, or the European superstate. And we certainly don't want to tell the Americans what to think. Love it. Every nation has the right to live according to its own will and quality. Imagine that. Yes, we do not attack. We defend. We are defending because the globalist progressive elite wants to impose its will on us, wants to tell us what to think and how to live. Sound familiar, huh? Yep, coming from the leader of a country. Wonder how many other nations feel like Victor. Things are happening below the sun, folks. It's happening. Is your house in order? Working on your stuff, your triggers, right? Loving your family, positioning yourself geographically where you're supposed to be. If you're working what you're supposed to be doing, you know, maybe you need 6 side hustles instead of just working for, that company you can't just seem to get away from. Oh, it's all good because we're going to stay on the path. We're in this together. You're not alone. None of us are alone. Just listen to your intuition. Okay, your intuition. That's what it's there for. It's a spiritual gateway. Ooh, that gut. The Hungarian leader re-emphasized the importance of the nation state, but warned the existence of national sovereignty is under threat. My friends, the idea of the nation is our particular Western heritage. That is why the Hungarians recognized it. That is why they made a blood pact. That is why they organized themselves into a nation. That is why we joined the Western world. And that is why we did not despair into the myths of history as happened to other Asian peoples who came to the West. As nation-based political organizations spread in the West, we rose up. We overtook our Western counterparts in the race of civilizations. It proved that the nation is the best framework. It is the best framework for unleashing the document forces and the citizens of a country and for serving the interests of the whole community. If one knows, accepts, and embraces a common language, like above the sun, history and culture, one is a full member of the nation and therefore free. This was the great advantage of Western civilization. That is why we were centuries ahead of other continents. Makes sense to me. It is this competitive advantage of civilization, my dear friends, that is under attack today. And I am sorry to say that the attack is successful. He warned that other civilizations across the world have not just caught up with the European economically, but have simply outgrown us, and lamented the fact that the Western world now only accounts for around 40% of the world's economic output, compared with more than 60% before the turn of the century. Furthermore, the West is losing the race in terms of population growth, with rapidly declining demographics, mass by mass immigration. With its economic, cultural, and demographic decline, the only thing the West has is its military strength, Orban said. So we are not doing well. The West is not doing well in the competition of civilizations, and the worst thing is that we have only ourselves to blame. That's a start, Victor. We have no competitor who could have wreaked such havoc. When the left unleashed the virus on the world, many well-meaning conservatives said that this anti-national virus was just a laboratory pest. The left doesn't want to unleash its radicals on the world. They will contain themselves, they said. But that's not what happened. Let us not be naive. Today, we see that this virus has not escaped. It has been bred. It is being bred, and it is spreading all over the world. Migration, gender, wokeism. These are all just variants of the same virus. Ladies and gentlemen, the essence of illegal immigration is the destruction of the national community. It is to break down the cultural basis necessary for the functioning of the nation state and to create in its place marginalized, atomized, and coexisting but hostile groups who will never form a community and who will never form a state. Orban then turned his attention to the cultural debate. Oh boy, here we go. Buckle up, that I kept enveloping both Europe and the US in recent years, taking aim at the woke ideology and gender propaganda being used by the left to promote their progressive agenda. I would only say that humanity is being fooled and lied to. We have free will, free choice to come to our own conclusions about who we are, our own identity. However, if you were to find out that there's propaganda, that NLP, maybe neuro-linguistic programming, that your brain groupthink, all of the above, because maybe some of us have just decided that it's a little easier to let others do the thinking and then just report back and tell us what we need to do. Might have worked before 2-3 years ago. Not going to work in the future. Love you, mean it. The woke movement and gender ideology are exactly what communism and Marxism used to be. They artificially divide the nation into minorities in order to foment discord between groups. This is their power base. The Hungarian conservative experiment is successful because we know the Marxists from many, many miles away, and even by smell, unseen. They have been sitting on us for 50 years. Gender and woke also divide the nation into classes and proclaim that class is more important than nation and precedes belonging to the nation and precedes national identity. My friends, I lived 26 years under Marxist oppression. So he's got a little bit of experience, huh? So maybe your experiences are not subject to everybody else's argument. What's your story? Your story's valid. You're valid. Your identity is valid. We just don't need to get our validation and our identity from those around us. You got to go above the sun. It's an inside game, tribe. We all know that. We're, wherever class warfare rears its head, countries based on peaceful cooperation will be the scene of unrest. There will be no more mutual respect and acceptance of each other, and only unquestioning hostility will remain, ladies and gentlemen. The third variant of the virus that threatens Western nations today is progressive foreign policy. We're almost done. Guys, Eliminator's been real good. You can take this in digestible bites, right? Go ahead and read ahead of me if you want. The Hungarian leader that then raised the issue of the West foreign policy and claimed that progressive administrations intent on labeling people and countries as either good or bad was a deeply dangerous policy in the modern political climate. Well, above the sun looks at good and bad as all of it's below the sun is corruption. Okay, so there's 11 playing field. And what we're doing is unraveling the corruption that's inside of us. And we're imagining and desiring with intention that corruption is leaving the planet. And a moral reverence is taking its place. Progressive foreign policy always leads us to war. It subverts countries in the name of exporting democracy and then either leaves or drifts, gets stuck in the mess it has created. I have seen many such color revolutions. It started with the slogan of freedom, and it continued with liberal, progressive re-education, human betterment. It ended in chaos, confusion, and the shame of abandoned countries. He talked about President Trump, which at this point, I'm not red, I'm not blue. Okay, it all goes in the big bucket of corruption until you get integrity in the voting system. That's why you got to trust big guns that he sets up kings and brings kings down. Let the process happen. Just keep your side of the street clean and get off the cross. We need the wood. Get in the game. You okay? Everybody good? We still good? Click, click, click. I am sure that if Trump were president, no war would be hitting Ukraine and Europe today. So come back, Mr. President, make America great again and bring us peace. Not prophesying, but the old guys, we need some young, moral, courageous talent. Leaders. What's leadership? Here you go. One for you. Leadership is the discipline of deliberately exerting a special influence within a group to move it towards goals of beneficial permanence that fulfills the group's real needs. I learned that a long time ago. I was like, whoa. Ladies and gentlemen, in recent years, progressive have once again divided the world into good, bad, Nazis, non-Nazis, democracies, autocracies. Progressive always pursue an imperialist policy. What they are doing is an imperialist textbook example. First, they put diplomatic pressure on nations. They expect them to show their colors, whether they support migration, whether they support gender propaganda, the relativization of families, the sexualization of children. Those who refuse to do so are the enemy, and the liberal fatwa is pronounced on them. If you say that gender and LGBTQ movements mean the sexualization of children, you will be accused of betraying Western values. If you say that universities should not be about woke ideology, but about seeking the truth, you are attacking academic freedom. If you say that war is not in the interest of the Western world, then you are being branded as pushing Putin's wagon. We are getting a bit tired of it here in Budapest. Oh, Victor, we're getting a bit tired of it too, bro. So you just hang in there. Hang in there. Stay in the funny. Wait to the end. The latest imperial foreign policy goal of the progressive is to take away the right of EU member states to have their own foreign policy. They must be stopped, and this will be the biggest battle in Brussels in the months ahead. I'm going to stop there. We had a little bit, right? Yeah. I'm going to stop right there. Yeah. Welcome to the circus. We are in a global Ponzi scheme. But again, fear is a choice. I'm not saying that you don't feel fear, get anxious, but you can learn some things in your four brains, the one that's in your head, the one that you operate out of your heart, your belly brain, which is your intuition, and your body brain, right? You're a frequency. You're a transmitter and receiver of frequency. You go into the mystery when you lay your head down on the pillow at night and you think you're talking to yourself. There's a lot going on around that. A lot of us don't know what's going on. But yeah, be more intentional, more deliberate. What do you want with your life? I would encourage you to level up, come above the sun, which is really just a perspective. It's a freedom for all of us to sort things out. We're all on our own journey, but we're not alone. Some of us are connected, some of us are not, and it's all good. We just got to operate in the love frequency and change the atmosphere in and around, but we can't do nothing until we change the atmosphere on the inside. So that's it. So just think about that. Chew on it, spit out the bones, whatever you don't like. But other than that, love you all. Love you soon. Stay in the path, stay in the way. Always be thinking 75 and a 55. And don't worry, we'll keep up. And so until next time, Boston Sea, up and away.